Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Global stocks drop, not just here, but around the world. Dow's down more than 200 points amid global worries. We're going to be breaking that down. The Attorney General, Eric Holder, one of the most corrupt we've ever seen, former Deputy Attorney General, running the cover-up of Oklahoma City. We even have his emails on that, the cover-up of what really happened there. He is to step down. He is now to step down. Remember, a few months ago, he was in the hospital. I think that's basically a cover for the fact that they want to say this is medical. No, it's about Fast and Furious. It's about the IRS targeting the Tea Party. It's about the fact that he's such a discrediting titular head that he is now stepping down so they can reshuffle things like they did with Big Sis and put in Jay Johnson, that no one can even pronounce his first name properly, to depoliticize the police state rollout that is taking place. So this is more of the rats leaving the sinking ship. There are just two Obama originals that remain, the Washington Post is reporting. And then there were two. That's all that's left in the Messiahs, according to the Democrats. He's the Messiah. That's all that's left is an original band of merry men and women. With Holder's resignation, just two Obama originals will remain. With his announcement today that he's stepping down as Attorney General, only two original cabinet members remain. Just Education Secretary Arnie Duncan, Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack, I guess you said, who we hear may also have one foot out the door, have been with Obama since the very beginning in their original roles. And, of course, Holder formerly comes from a law firm and lobbying firm that all these politicians go and sign up with. That's a revolving door with the Justice Department and the FBI. And then if you're in that law firm or you are a client, it's like a get-out-of-jail-free card. So it's time to cash in and get some $200,000 speeches under his belt. It's time to cash in and get some security contracts. Maybe he'll go to be the CEO of a naked body scanner company like Chertoff. Maybe he'll become the head of a university and cash in on that front with federally funded bodyguards for the rest of his life as he openly lobbies to have you and your family disarmed. It was the Veritas Project. James O'Keefe went out to his house there in, I guess it was New York, where his family was at. And there were armed guards there and a police car parked out front. Wouldn't it be nice if all of us could have that? Of course, we can't. Because then who's even going to guard other people's houses? If the cops are already guarding the cops' houses, then there'll be no people left to actually work in the farms and work in the factories. Of course, there's not many of those left to begin with, so I guess that's part of the overall plan. Here's the question. Why is Holder stepping down now? I think it's part of cashing in, depoliticizing things when all these criminal investigations are coming to a head. There are a lot of reasons for it, and I want to open the phones up to get your take on that and why you think the Dow Jones Industrial is down 200 points with Apple sinking 3%. Global conflicts fuel nosedive, says USA Today. We got an email 2 days ago. It was brought to my attention yesterday. We probably need to black this out before I show it. But it came in at whistleblowers@infowars.com. And so when I open the phones up, I specifically would like to hear from other bank executives or bank managers where you called into this emergency meeting, that all of the Chase Bank managers were called in an emergency meeting, and they said this only happened last time when they had the collapse of the market on 7/08. Remember that back in 2008, and they held everybody hostage for the banker bailout. And they wanted me to go with this yesterday and open the phones up. Rob Dew did. It was a great idea, and to get confirmation from callers, but I didn't do it. The nightly news, 7 o'clock Central, InfoWarsNews.com or PrisonPlanet.tv. as we blast out on AM and FM affiliates across the United States, from Kansas City, Missouri, to Los Angeles, California, from Rochester, New York, to Oklahoma City, to Austin, Texas. Thank you so much for joining us. The news websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. And, of course, we also have the free video feed going out at InfoWarsNews.com. That's Infowars News, Infowars/news.com, or Infowars/show. We'll also take you there. You can find the free podcast, the free iPhone and Droid apps, the free live audio and video links right there. Or become a PrisonPlanet.tv subscriber, and you get the nightly news when it goes out live or when it tapes to air. You get the high-quality archives, the commercial-free video and audio, podcast, and you're funding the very tip of the spear in the information war. Again, I am your host, Alex Jones. Thank you for joining us. We have the head of the Tor project dealing with NSA spying and how to protect yourself coming up for about 30 minutes at the start of the next hour. Then former state police officer, and then ran the largest and still does police training security for public schools and private schools. He's run major university security as well. Wolfgang Halbig, who's pointed out that Sandy Hook is fake. And I've had former top CIA field commanders on saying it's staged. We've got major professors in Florida saying it's clearly staged. I mean, it really is staged. We don't know exactly what went on there, but they've got kids going in one door for the helicopter shot and back out and back in for theater. They grabbed anti-terror police out in the woods, dressed up in the same shooter outfit, and then lied about it. They didn't dispatch rescue helicopters. All the defaults, all of the defaults, the things that are standard operating procedure were turned off. And now the FBI online crime statistics say no deaths in their reporting in Newtown in 2012. And then you've got all the bizarre footage of the parents coming out and laughing and then, like, getting on camera going, I mean, it's bizarre. And CNN reporter and admitted CIA officer, I'm not kidding, look it up, Anderson Cooper, he's there and his nose disappears. He turns, it's clearly blue screen, so we blew it up and noticed that there's, like, papers and stuff on the street corner blowing, and then it loops. It's the same shot, but they didn't want anybody to jump in there and say it was a hoax, so they did a whole hoax video, kind of like CNN did with the fake Scud attacks on Saudi Arabia back in 1991. And that was admitted to be fake. So they just do all sorts of weirdness on sound stages, and people say, well, this would bring them down if they got caught. Actually, when you go this big with a hoax or a fraud, statistically and historically, you have a better chance of it working. They say if you steal $1 billion, they make you the governor or the president. If you steal $100, they throw you in federal prison. I mean, that's kind of how it works. And they've gotten away with it for a while, but now people instinctively know they're being lied to. So that's coming up for about 30 minutes of the third hour as well. But we'll have news and phone calls, the rest of it. Why do you think stocks are plunging? CNBC experts and USA Today experts and London Guardian experts, they're all saying what I was thinking when I saw it this morning. 200 points as of now. In fact, let's put that up on screen for folks. The S&P is down as well, but it's down more than 200 points and it's kind of planed off right now. It's down 221 points, 0.57, and is actually continuing now. It just resumed its dip. So we'll watch that as it happens. But I expect it to probably go back up. I mean, it could drop 2,000, 3,000 points. It would just go back up because there's so many fiat dollars and other fiat currencies, and there's a global race to devalue currencies. Well, where are you going to put that money? You're going to put it in stock markets. You're going to put it in real estate. You're going to put it in farmland. You're going to put it in gold and silver. I mean, that's what the elites are doing. Now, they don't want you getting into gold and silver because then that would drive it up too fast and really show, like a cold sore, the underlying infection. But it can only be put off so long. So I want to get your take on that. Of course, the Attorney General, and I'm sad to see this happen because the longer he stayed in, the more heat would be pressed with his cover-up of Benghazi. He's been involved in that, helping go after whistleblowers here in the U.S. His cover-up of Fast and Furious, caught red-handed staging that with Big Sis, who already left, of course, to go head up UC Davis. And then we've got all the other things he's been involved with, persecuting Christian groups, pro-lifers, veterans, the Tea Party, just tens of thousands of audits and harassments and bank accounts being shut down and people being indicted for crooked toenails, while this guy just commits crimes wall to wall and then goes and gives speeches to the media about, we need to brainwash the public against guns. And then he has the nerve to get up when he went to Ferguson. He has the nerve to go there and talk about racism and how he's this big victim of it. That's why people don't like him now. I mean, give me a break, Holder. I bet Holder's never been attacked by white people physically. I have been attacked racially. I was thinking about it just a few nights ago, and I don't dislike black people because of it. I realize there's racist whites, blacks, you name it, but it's seen as kosher and acceptable by some blacks to attack white people because there's a score to settle. And if somebody weighs 250 pounds, well, I bet I can beat up this 180-pound guy back in the day. A little bit more than 180 pounds now. 230 pounds. Was 275. That's how fat I got. But long story short, I have literally been called a cracker honky and had my head hammered into the concrete. And when my hair all falls out, there's a giant scar right here from like 15 stitches where my head completely split open. I mean, I've had black people try to kill me in Dallas over and over and over again. I mean, you'll hear about some black family attacked by the Klan once or some old black man beat up. It's terrible. They had movies about that. What about me? What about me, Holder? I'm sick of you playing race card. How dare you? I bet money you've never had a truck of white guys pull up and beat the living hell out of you. So I'm sick of it. I don't have any guilt. I'm not racist. I don't like Obamacare because it's a screw job and raises 21 taxes, 7 of them on people on the poverty line, working poor. It's got death panels on it. I don't care if you're a black veteran, a white veteran, a Hispanic veteran. It makes my blood boil that they got secret death lists that we already knew about years ago. We had all the veterans groups on. Joyce Riley was talking about secret death list and not giving treatment to troops with witnesses from the VA 15 years ago on this network. Morning host. And I would go interview the people as well. It's not because I'm some hero I expose this. I see these Wounded Warrior TV shows and, ads. Great. Give them money. I think it's great. But what about just taking care of troops and making sure the veterans get the health care and don't get put on a secret death list? Oh, we're not going to give you kidney surgery. We're not going to give you eye surgery. We're not going to give you heart surgery. You're 60 years old and had a heart attack. Just go take some painkillers. How about that discrimination? We're all being discriminated against while our money's stolen and taken offshore to pay off derivatives. We're all having fluoride put in our water. We're all being fed GMO. We're all being spied on by the NSA. And I think the legacy of Holder is a race-baiting, anti-gun criminal who staged Fast and Furious and got caught. We have them announcing that they were doing this thing in Mexico to blame the Second Amendment a year before Fast and Furious broke. Okay? They all knew. They launched it. They ran it. His legacy, though, is you didn't get the guns, despite the fact that you pulled off the stage stuff at Sandy Hook. Clearly, the Boston bombing was staged. Had a top former CIA field commander on, highly respected by the U.S. Army, on here last week saying those were both staged. And guess what? It's not just because he said it. We know the players. We know what went on. Bare minimum, Tamerlan Zarnev was in a State Department program for the CIA deployed under a fake name, and the Russians blew his cover 2 years before. And that's a little message to everybody who goes and works for the CIA or the FBI as an asset. Once his cover was blown, he was put out there as a decoy and a drill, and then they were set up so they could take the fall, and the police state could pose as heroes. And that's just a fact, ladies and gentlemen, just like Oklahoma City was a staged event. So I want to talk about the real reason Holder stepped down. He stepped down because he's bringing too much heat on him, and they need to bring some new puppet in so they can get the football across the finish line. But they got 50 yards to go, and they don't have a first down. And if they pull some false flag or something, we're watching them. We're not flat-footed. That's the thing. Once these criminals are called out, they're absolutely powerless. So this is a victory that he's being forced to step down. I'll give the number out when we come back and get into more news. InfoWars is live. And I'm your host, Alex Jones. Thank you for joining us again on this Thursday, 25th day of 2014. I came in before the broadcast, and I said, I see you have the red siren on, a la Drudge. Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, obviously. And I said, why is it up? The stock market or Holder? And I guess the siren is out for both. And that's what I like, is that my crew is just basically acting on their own. They know what's going on. They're as informed as I am, or more so, and there's a great synergy here. We only bring out the siren when something big happens. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average continues to fall. That's not good when it falls in early trading, as everyone knows. This is shades of 2008. And it has fallen 234.40. Will the Plunge Protection Team, or the President's Committee on Open Markets, as it's called properly, that Reagan set up after the 87 crash, try to stabilize things? It's now been used. I'm not defending Reagan or even Bush Sr., but early on it was mainly used to actually stabilize the stock market. Now under Clinton and Bush 41 and Bush 43, actually, 42. I can't even get my presidents right now. Since Clinton, they have been using it to manipulate the stock market in a big way. And so if they don't pump it back up, you know that they want it to go down, to then politically demand a bunch of new banking powers, a bunch of new banking regulations. Wasn't just 880-something billion that the big banks ended up getting. They got literally hundreds of trillions of dollars of derivatives to be federalized and globalized worldwide. But the U.S. is the vast majority, over 60%. Even the Wall Street Journal admits it's now 2 quadrillion globally. That's 2,000.2, because it was 2.2 last time we pulled it up from the Wall Street Journal. So it's estimated at 2,200 trillion. It's really hard to even get my mind around those numbers and say them on air. But it's like a Zimbabwe $100 million note that it would cost to have dinner. You'd have to have $100 million to have a basic dinner when the inflation a few years ago peaked in Zimbabwe. Hey, it's not as bad as it used to be. I'm told it only cost a few million now to get a sandwich, not 100 million. So it's gotten a little bit better. Can you imagine what this will do to everybody's savings and the rest of it? So if it does continue to plunge this week or next week or whenever, just know it's rigged and that they have decided to do it. But it is continuing to fall as we speak right now. Now it's down another 15 points or so. The last minute, it's now down 246 points. Now, will they just ride it down like a rigged casino and watch everybody jump out and then buy because they know it's about to go back up this afternoon? Sure. I mean, when the market's rigged, you can ride it up, ride it down, ride it all over the place because you're part of the insider group. What's your take on all of this? So what's bigger news, the stock market? What do you think is more important, the stock market or Eric Holder? at the end of the day, both are just rigged commodities and just fronts for the shadowy machinery behind the curtain. But through all of these stories, we can learn what the little man behind the curtain's really up to and really doing. You can almost call this broadcast Behind the Curtain News or Paradigm Shift, because it isn't about believing what I believe. It's about learning what's really going on and then from your perspective deciding what you're looking at. Of course, a lot of folks have found that what I think I'm seeing is a lot more accurate than what almost anyone else is saying. We'll be right back. The toll-free number to join us on any of these news items or issues. There's a lot of other news coming up. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. What do you think the biggest scandal of Obama, a.k.a. Eric Holder, because he's there aiding and abetting, covering up, absconding, racketeering, suppressing, persecuting, going after political enemies, throwing the book at people that have done nothing, running his giant witch hunt operation while protecting the big mega banks looting the country, protecting an entire bipartisan takeover. What do you think's really going on? What do you think is really happening here? I want to hear from you. We know he's a criminal. We know he's escaped impeachment. We know he's escaped ignoring congressional subpoenas. He's been arrogant. He's been threatening. So it's important to pillory him as he rides off on a golden carpet to loot the taxpayers in the revolving door. But what is your view on Eric Holder? What is your view on what's happening with the stock market? 800-259-9231. Now, before I go to your phone calls, there is a product from InfoWarsLife.com developed by Dr. Group that you've got to go read about online. It's got all of these different concentrated flower and plant and root extracts. I mean, just a whole bunch of them. And you've got to understand that when you normally buy a similar product in claims, it'll just have some menthol and maybe one herb in it or something. And I'm not knocking Ricola, but let's say it's got 3 or 4 herbs in it compared to Luden's that has nothing. This has, I think it's like 14 different things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, 14 things. Okay, I was right. The point is, 13, 14, is that if you look at it in the bottle, there's no additives or fillers. It's just pure essential oil. And competing products are the same price, but it's just thin water because they're cheap. Because people will buy stuff just for the packaging. This really is a revolutionary product. And the reason I was thinking that I need to plug it more, so I did a lot of yelling when I gave a speech Saturday down at KC Research, and I could barely talk on Sunday. And about a third of the way into the show, I went, wait a minute. On Sunday, I said, why aren't I doing my lung cleanse that immediately coats my larynx? Or if I have really bad allergies or a sore throat, I mean, it's just light years better than any other throat-type spray lozenges. But also, the way Group says to do it, is you got to watch it. It's so thick it clogs the top deal, so you got to blow it out sometimes after you've been using it 6 or 7 times, or you put it in hot water, the little cap, because you want it. This has a really nice spray top on it that aerosolizes it. 3 shots in the mouth. And on the third one, you don't spray and then inhale. That would be too much. You spray 3 times and then go, and then some of the effervescence, some of the mist goes into the lungs, and it's just amazing. And then it funds our whole operation. The subscriptions to PrisonPlanet.tv, the pro-gun T-shirts, the high-quality InfoWars Life products, funds the operation. So I want to thank you all for your support and just encourage all of you that have gotten the other InfoWars Life line of products out there to check out Lung Cleanse that I really haven't talked up enough. It sells quite well. It's just that I haven't really talked it up enough, and I think it is. I know this Group, when he was developing it for us, was so excited about it because it is an over-the-top product that if you look at it is thick. I mean, it's very thick, and it tastes really good. Very minty, but also very earthy. I don't know how to describe it, but so many other similar things on the surface just have weird taste or just has stuff in there to make your throat numb. This doesn't have any of that. This soothes your throat without any of that artificial garbage. InfoWarsLife.com, lung cleanse. So proud of it. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. 888-253-3139. And take the InfoWarsLife.com challenge. Go get the Oxy tablets that flush out the guts. Get the Super Male Vitality, Super Female Vitality, the Silver Bullet, the X2 Pure Crystal Source True Nascent Iodine at InfoWarsLife.com. Oh, and look what else is up there, DNA Force. So that's all available at InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139, lung cleanse. Okay. After we take calls, here's some of the other news we have from Kit Daniels from InfoWars. United Nations to propose global lead ammo ban. That's from the UN. Proposal would serve as a backdoor gun control by cutting global supply of ammo. Just like I said 2 weeks ago, where they're passing laws to basically ban lead ammo in California, making ammo prices go up 300%, it's estimated, the next year, maybe more. In fact, that was a low estimate by the group that broke it all down in a study. That this is UNESCO. This is UN treaties unimplemented, but California and New York and others and cities, they call it UN munization under Agenda 21. Cities are adopting it. Austin, where my mother grew up, I believe the best city in Texas, bar none, for a big town. For a big city, it's great. A lot of other small towns that are much better. Austin used to be a small town. 40,000 people when my mom grew up here. Now it's 2 million, but it'll be 4 million, they're saying, another 10 years. It's just exploding. But it's officially under UN control. They don't follow the Constitution, Bill of Rights. And there's some old-line liberals here, so there's some nice things about old-line liberals, about it's not too police-statey and some other things, but it's got that modern UN thing to it that's seen as trendy and sexy. It's actually a nightmare. So that's coming up. FBI says no one killed at Sandy Hook. Agency publishes crime report showing 0 murders occurred in Newtown in 2012. And people can say, well, that must be an FBI crime statistic mistake. And that does happen sometimes. I'm a big critic of a lot of what the FBI does, but their statistics have been known over the years to be the best in the world. Started by J. Edgar Hoover. That's what he was a statistician. And basically a filing clerk who was a master at organizational skills. And it's the model worldwide in colleges for statistics because it's gathered locally and then compiled. Remember the FBI didn't put Osama bin Laden on the most wanted list for 9/11? I guess because they didn't want a bounty out there for him or something. 4 years, 3-4 years after we were making a big deal about it, and there had been national news stories about it, they still wouldn't put him on the most wanted list. So is this some kind of inside joke or something? We're going to talk to Wolfgang Halbig about that coming up. Cop asks man for a license, shoots him when he goes to get it, WLTX. The guy's at a gas station, gassing his car up. If you're a TV viewer, you can see this at Infowars.com/show. If you're a radio listener, go to Infowars.com. We have the video from WLTX out of South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina up there. And talk about instinctive shooting. I mean, this is scary. The guy's gassing his car up. And we're showing the video now. And he says, give me your license. So the guy turns around to get it. And he does do it a little quickly. Almost like a kid when you're saying, put your shoes on, and they kind of stomp and, you know, sit down real fast. Put their shoes. And the guy kind of turns quick, but that doesn't give you license to kill him. And the cop starts shooting him. And then he runs over to him, and the cop's such a bad shot, he didn't hit him center of mass. And the guy's like, man, it's my license is right here. And the cop is still, like, jumping on top of him after that. It's just, go join special forces, and then you could actually go fight people that want to kill you, and then you can treat them all like that. but just it's like an attack dog. Like you open a door and a pit bull that's been eating gunpowder comes running out, you know, just savage, vicious, crazed. And then I read deeper into it. The guy wasn't even a suspect. I mean, one thing if it was a vehicle that matched the description of an armed robber who's thought to be dangerous and served 10 years for shooting somebody, then if the guy made a move and something, and I'd still say it was, you know, the cop's too on edge and should not be a cop. But the fact that this guy hadn't even done anything, and the police are so militarized, this is how they approach you, is frightening, ladies and gentlemen. Because I personally, one time, see, I do something no other talk show host does. I always say it's coming up, and I just cover it right there. I've told the story when I was a senior in high school, and I got home from the gym, and my mom said, hey, son, go up to the frozen yogurt place and get me vanilla yogurt, a pint of it. I said, okay. And Mom was sitting there cooking dinner, and I drive up my Mustang, get it, and I'm driving back, maybe going 5 miles over the speed limit, in a residential area right by my house. Cop busts a U-turn, comes flying up behind me, comes over, I roll on the window, and he goes, license, registration. Boom, his gun's out right to my head. He goes, get out of the car, get out of the car. And I get out, and he goes, oh, that's a weight belt. I thought it was a knife scabbard or a gun scabbard. He goes, try not to speed, sorry. At least he said sorry. It didn't blow my head off. Nowadays, if a cop gets mad at you half the time, they just go ahead and beat the hell out of you or take you to jail. Because I watch the squad car videos all the time. Most of these we don't even play. We're not even here trying to run the police down. Because we understand that just feeds into the whole us against them mentality. But, I mean, come on. Come on. I mean, I've had a gun to my head over a weight belt. I mean, big deal if it was a knife scabbard. When you grab a machete and kill you? I mean, they've got the cops so on edge. You're going to be killed any minute. You got to be safe. Everything's about keeping you safe. Bull. They'd be telling you not to drink fluoride, not to take the vaccines, not to eat GMO. They'd be telling you about the hormone garbage they're putting in the printer ink and look it up that literally feminizes you. They'd be telling you, be warning your kids. It's all about, oh, only we care about you. The family, the government, the system. We're in the federal family, like Big Sis said. Let's go to your phone calls. Manny in Texas, you want to talk stocks and Holder? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Hello, Alex. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling, brother.
Just a little bit of patience with me. Yesterday you had talked on the show about a gentleman dealing with exorcisms. And it really sparked my interest to talk to you, and it feeds into what's going on today.
Do you think Eric Holder needs an exorcism, or maybe the stock market?
No.
Hillary Clinton? You know, some say she actually played Linda Blair. No, I'm serious, in The Exorcist. And that now, with Chelsea about to have a baby, they're actually saying that it may be Rosemary's Baby.
Anyway, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and I'm an ex-demoniac. Okay, I have been delivered from demons, and I have a special relationship with God. He's really my best friend.
Good.
And I just wanted to say out there that people shouldn't mess around with dealing with exorcisms unless they're well anchored in God and know how to dealing with the forces of darkness.
I agree, and you shouldn't watch MSNBC unless you're really ready to look into a demonic portal into the eyes of Mr. Maddow.
Anyway, what God has shared with me, and He continues to share with me, is what you're starting to see over the next year is a period of judgment that is coming down upon the United States for the turning away from God, trying to remove Him, the sins of our country, the arrogance, the corruption, the lying, the stealing, the cheating, the sexual sins, the abortions, everything. It's all coming to pass. God has been trying to get our attention for quite some time. Now, what has led to this to me is I've continually had a recurring dream of seeing a nuclear explosion over cities. And I have been in prayer over these particular matters, and God keeps dealing with me that there is going to be a situation that's going to happen and occur here in the United States. I don't know when, I don't know where. I just keep having this recurring dream. The stock market, this country has a love of money, and the love of money is the root to all evil. it's being falsely propped up by the Fed in order to collapse it. And you are starting to now see the birth pangs of the collapse that's going to occur in the market over the next year.
Well, yeah, if they up interest rates, that will probably mess with the markets. We'll see what happens. But I appreciate your call, sir. And I agree, people shouldn't mess around with demons. That's why we shouldn't elect one as the President of the United States. I don't normally say lesser of two evils, but Hillary Clinton, I would vote for a horse manure pile before I voted for her. And that's because I'm against women. That's what Rachel Maddow and others are going to say. No, it's because I'm against criminals. And I'm sick of the Clintons. I would vote against the Bush, too. I'm sick of Bushes. We don't need royalty in this country. But as bad as the Bushes are, Hillary Clinton is worse. She is coming after our guns. She is absolutely wants state-run media. She helped overthrow Libya and then made jokes about it. We saw he died. Yeah, and so did 50,000 Libyans or more. So that's where I stand on that. We're going to go to break and come back with Jeff and go to Brian, Tim, Josh, and others. Yeah, what do you think the biggest scandals of Holder's administration have been? Because it's important to spotlight these and not forget them. The stock market is down 248 points, 0.59. On the Dow Jones Industrial Averages, S&P is down 28.58. NASDAQ is down 79.83. Right now in live trading. All right, stay with us. A lot is coming up. The news websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. And I hope you visit those sites and spread the word about them, because the system doesn't like them. I forgot to mention this earlier. Guess what's back in? Now, it took 12 weeks, just like our suppliers said it would, because it is filled with a whole bunch of patented, on-record nutraceuticals in the true biological, non-GMO form. We have DNA Force back in. Here's the problem. We're only getting 20% of it this week, and it'll be upwards of 3 weeks until we get the full shipment in. We were able to get enough of the PQQ and a bunch of the other key things that are in there, the Bio-PQQ, the CoQ10, you name it. And again, these are the specific types. In fact, a couple of these are only produced in the United States. I mean, we have to get some of this stuff from actual pharmaceutical makers. That's why in the health community, without us even going out and soliciting it, there are reviews out there of DNA Force, people just saying there's nothing else like this. Well, we have a limited, small run of these, and we're going to send a mass email out today to folks that had already signed up to want to get it first, and then whatever else is available is on the shopping cart right now at InfoWarsLife.com. And the great part about it is you also fund our operation. Now, other similar formulas that aren't even as strong cost $300 to $600. That's why this costs $129. It costs us $12,000 a kilo for just one of the ingredients, or $40 a bottle. $40 goes into the bottle for one of the ingredients. $40. I mean, this is a Rolls Royce. I wish everybody could take this and afford it. I'm taking it. It's amazing. You can go read about it. And what we're even allowed to say, because a lot of this stuff is certified and confirmed, we're actually allowed to make some claims about this, but it's all been done by the experts at InfoWarsLife.com. I'm not going to even get into it. You can watch the videos about it. And in closing, if you want, say, the poor man's equivalent of this, it's $30. It's the OcuPower. It doesn't just work with the nerves and things and the cells in the eyes, but that's what it focuses on. But OcuPower is the poor man's version of this, available at InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. Okay, enough of me babbling here. Jeff in Texas, you're on the air. Why do you think Holder stepped down?
I think he deserves to step down, and of course he's going to get one of those golden parachutes that all those guys get. You know, I don't know what the Attorney General job pays, but he's going to retire to a gated community fast and furious. Oh, Now, when that occurred, of course, they tried to sweep it under the rug like all the other scandals that they do. And the truth's coming out about this guy. Now, he should be prosecuted. So should the Bushes. Obama saluting with a cup of coffee. Oh, that's a good one. Now he's chairing the UN. He's chairing the UN for climate control while he's dropping the bombs on Syria. Now, that just sets the wrong precedent for me as an American. I don't agree with that at all.
I totally agree with you. So what do you think the biggest scandal of the Obama administration is? Because every one of the scandals, except for vacationing, has been intimately connected to Holder running interference and defense for Obozo.
Right. It's all financially related. The biggest scam was Obama getting up there and telling the American people, I know how unpopular it is about bailing out the banks. I know. But what he did, and Holder and all these guys that have been...
Yeah, no, he honchoed in the Senate. They gave him credit. It's in my film Obama Deception for getting the bailout passed. He got more money from Wall Street than anybody. We'll be right back. And again, not all of Wall Street's bad.
Thank you for listening
to select
GCN.
Few groups
Visit GCN
like Goldman Sachs that are quarterbacking all the major bad stuff, okay? I have a really bad habit because I'm completely in charge, basically, up here. My great career reminds me of stuff that's breaking and stories I want to get to, and they'd make a lot of the decisions. But when it comes to running the show, I'll say, oh, coming up, I'll get to this, and I never do it. But I will do it at the start of the next segment. We'll look at what's happening with the stock market and this email we got yesterday that if people can get in on the phone lines, we'd like to hear if you got any similar information at the banks you work at. This just came in at whistleblowers at Infowars.com. And it says, yesterday, all Arizona area Chase Bank members were called in for an emergency meeting. I went in to handle some account issues, and the banker rep informed me that every bank manager had been called to a meeting throughout the Phoenix area. She was very puzzled by this herself and told me that she was quite concerned. She had told me that the last time a situation arose like this was prior to the 2008-07 collapse of the market. Again, the October collapse of the market. She had also stated that none were reachable for that period, even if an emergency had come up. That's how important it was. Just a little heads up in case you got wind of anything regarding this matter. And this came in actually yesterday morning, and I didn't go with it. Deuce said, hey, you could, you know, even though it's speculation, I know you don't go with that, you could just open the phones up and offer people to call in and then send us proof to showtips at Infowars.com or whistleblowers at Infowars.com. And so that is what I'm going to do now. I said I'd do it after the break, but now I'm doing it now, customarily. But I will elaborate after the break more on this and take calls. But anybody that can send us any documentation, I can't tell you how many times we've had national news stories where Chase or others are about to start charging people to use their debit cards more, or about to not let folks take money out of their bank account, or not let people have cash businesses or deposit cash, Bank of America, or not let people have gun shops anymore, or sporting goods stores that sell guns or even BB guns, or they won't let you have a bank account. I mean, we've broken, no exaggeration, 20-something stories along those lines the last few years that have gone national, international. So remember the power you have as whistleblowers out there. Now, I don't want anything illegal. I don't want anything proprietary. But if it's public interest, and or a lot of times it's somebody sends us their letter from Chase saying we're not going to let you wire transfer money out of the country anymore, all customers. I mean, that's just your public letter. It's not even really a whistleblow. You're just bringing our attention to something. And then we went in and said, is this true? And so we walked around and said, does anybody have a Chase account? Yeah, I've got one. Well, go home and look at your bill. They come back and they go, yeah, it just came in the mailbox yesterday, and I got my online version. It's confirmed. I mean, that's just basic journalism. It's not hard. There it is. Update. Chase Bank limits cash withdrawals, bans international wire transfers. That story got read by about 2 million people on InfoWars. And then if you tracked all the places it got posted, it was one of the biggest stories on the web. And again, it's not me going, hey, we're a big website. It's you have power when you give us information. See something, say something. So we're going to go to break and come back to Brian and then to Tim, Josh, Richard, and Wildman. What do you think the biggest scandal of the Obama administration, and by extension Holder, who's been the main cover-up artist for him, what does it signify? Do they know indictments are coming down? Do they know state grand juries are moving against them? Yes. Do they know that Congress is finally getting fed up with their criminal activity and that Holder's been politically persecuting people so other people can play hardball? Streets are two-way. Streets are two-way. That's why I don't mess with somebody unless I've got to defend myself and they're really hurting somebody who's innocent. Because when you run around persecuting people, it will come back on you. It will burn you. There have been attorney generals that have gone to prison. And Eric Holder needs to go to prison. We have a guest on for the next 25 minutes or so. We've gotten whistleblower contacts yesterday, multiple ones, now that we're digging through the emails, saying that banks were saying brace for something big today. I didn't go with this yesterday because it might have just been basically some panicking going on in the financial system. But we did get some of this chatter, some of these noises right before the October collapse of 2008 that they used to bring in so many of the draconian banking rules and banker bailouts that the country was bipartisanly looted under. But I would like you to send your emails or intel or any information you have or any documentation of what you're hearing in your area of the banking sector to whistleblowers@Infowars.com or showtips@Infowars.com. The stock market is down 247 points on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. They have the president's open market committee or plunge protection team in there that could prop it up if they want to, but they're saying global fears of war and recession and a lot of other issues are driving that right now. CNBC says a toxic stew of factors. Now, months ago, I wanted to get this guy on. We were finally able to do it. I appreciate him coming on. Andrew Lewman is executive director of the Tor Project, torproject.org. And he's helped with thousands of volunteers to grow a successful company with a global reach. He's worked on projects with Transition House, Google, National Science Foundation, U.S. Department of Defense, Reach Beyond Domestic Violence, the White House, and the U.S. State Department. He's a strong believer in individual rights, privacy, anonymity, and solving real-world problems, sometimes even with technology. And Lewman, LEWMAN.is is his website. And I wanted to get him on because we've had a whole bunch of different experts on. William Binney, who was number 4 at the NSA, a director of a major program. We've had just countless other whistleblowers on, and a lot of them recommend talking to Andrew Lewman and talking about the Tor Project. So first off, tell us about the Tor Project, why folks that aren't tech savvy should want to know about this, and then does it make you get looked at more to use Tor? Or should you just go ahead and use it? And then there's the argument that, well, if I have nothing to hide, then I shouldn't hide it. But that's like saying, why lower your blinds at night? Having nothing to hide from the sun, it'll wake you up unless you want to get up at 6 a.m. Or, what do you have against roosters? Nothing, but I don't want it to wake me up. I mean, it kind of becomes this thing of why not put all the belongings you have on Facebook so robbers can rob you. If you don't, you have something to hide. So what's the bottom line on all this?
Thanks for having me, Alex.
You bet.
Great to be here.
You bet.
So the bottom line is Tor puts you, the user, in control of your data. That we help you, we make you anonymous by default. We'll encrypt your traffic as you go through the Tor network. And whenever you show up to any site you want to visit, you're anonymous. And then it's up to you to control what information you give them and how much you give them.
Now, that will at least stop Microsoft, Google, Apple, and Amazon and others, right, from tracking everything you do. Because from what I've read, they're just as bad as the NSA.
Collaborating with the NSA, whether through legal threats or just wanting to be with the inside boys, yes.
So, I mean, how secure is Tor?
It's a fine question. How secure means there's some sort of quantitative measure or something. We have worked with people who use Tor in life and death situations, and they're still alive. So we believe that Tor is fairly secure, fairly anonymous, and probably one of your best options out there.
Break down how it works for people, because I guess you're part of one of the developers of it.
So Tor is, you download Tor browser, go to torbrowser.org, or you get, however you get your software from wherever, go to Tor browser, start it up, and what it does is behind the scenes, it connects to a series of 3 relays around the world. So we're sitting here, say we're here in Boston. My first relay could be in Japan. My second relay can be in Argentina. My third relay could be in Sweden. So then I go browse to, whatever, Infowars.com. As far as Infowars knows, I came from Sweden. They have no idea that I'm sitting here in Boston, and you would have to track my traffic around the world to see who I am and where I exist in the world.
What percentage of people do you think out there are using stuff like Tor?
Unfortunately, a small percentage. We've had 150 million downloads of the software in the past year since the Snowden revelations over the past, since last summer. And that's still tiny compared to the 3 billion people online. However, people are beginning to notice it. People are beginning to realize, what's privacy? What is the NSA doing? What is GCHQ doing? And how can I protect myself at any level, even if it's just from, some creep in a coffee shop sniffing the Wi-Fi?
Well, that's another reason to protect your data, because there's thieves and bad hackers out there, right?
Right. And in some cases, it may be your internet service provider. We've gotten messages from all over the world that people have sent us screenshots of ads on apple.com or google.com. And if you look at them, they're these big, huge, ugly banner ads that neither Apple nor Google actually put on their home pages. And that's because the internet service provider is watching traffic and injecting the ads into their traffic as they're, doing their things online. So encrypting your traffic using Tor is one way to stop that. And the other, simple thing, you travel, you go to a hotel. Do you trust everyone at the hotel with all your traffic, all your personal details, your chats, your pictures, everything?
Your passcodes?
Yep, exactly. And there are plenty of companies out there who would love to get your email address, whether you gave it to them or not, and then, sign you up for all sorts of lists, and you go from there.
Well, if government and industry from the beginning had promoted security and a free system, a free state, we wouldn't be having this disaster. I'm no tech guru like you, but I just see nothing but a house of horrors coming in the future as spying is ubiquitous. Everything's got back doors. The young people just are wide open with their info. It's being exploited by governments, corporations, and grassroots criminals. It's just, why do you think governments in the system, or maybe you disagree, have promoted, why are they promoting Wi-Fi instead of grounded cables? Why are they going with the system so wide open?
In some degrees, it's just about control. That, people get into power and they want control over others. And how do they do that? Well, if they have an asymmetry of information where they have more information about you and they think they can predict you and they think they know everything about you while you know little about them, that's probably the core of the problem, that much more transparency. And I know you mentioned whistleblowers earlier. We probably wouldn't be having this conversation unless Edward Snowden, and I've spent time talking to William Binney face to face, and Drake and others, and their efforts to sort of force transparency on power structures has made people wake up and start realizing what's going on.
They are such heroes. In fact, I want to give you the floor because you're the expert on this. Get into the NSA. Get into the attack on whistleblowers, bipartisan. It's classical totalitarianism. That's what Benny called to The Guardian. But, you've got the floor to talk to the audience about things you think are important instead of me just throwing questions out here.
You're happy to ask questions.
What's most important for folks to know right now?
The Internet is a network. Networks are designed to be recorded and watched at every single point. It's not just the 1% of the tech people that sort of understand how networks work. As a former network engineer myself, one of the things I was hired to do was to watch the network, look for attacks, figure out who's doing what. And it's trivially easy if you control the network. If you think of the Internet as just a larger network, which it is, it becomes easier. With enough money, you can do anything. I think what's started to happen have been, the press has started to wake up to realize what the NSA and GCHQ and, frankly, we've heard that the FSB in Russia and the Chinese, I think it's MSS, are the equivalent agencies, can do with the internet and watch everything. What that results in is that journalists used to have to go to court and get, subpoenaed, get hauled into court to say, give us your sources. We want to know who leaked the data about whatever. Now the government will still do that just to harass them, but at the same time says, we actually have all your data because we've been spying on you for years. We know who your source is, and we've already taken care of them, however we deem necessary. In most of the Western world, that's a fine, chilling effect. But we've worked with journalists who are working against corrupt intelligence agencies, far more corrupt than the NSA, who are in with human trafficking cartels, drug cartels. This is how they fund themselves.
That's right.
I won't name a specific region, but, there are plenty of regions where you can imagine that human trafficking and drug cartels rule the government.
Mexico, Middle East, Central Asia.
Sure. So journalists in that situation, wind up dead.
And for those that don't know, our government hands that over to Jordan or to Pakistan or to whoever. I mean, this is beyond the lives of others and other examples of East German Stasi. This is so evil. And it's being done for political control. They're not even using this illegally, quote, on bad guys. They are using it against journalists. I mean, as you know, they've tried to put William Binney in jail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, and Drake. I've talked to them both, and they're both have told me, the nightmares they've lived through, and what their sort of attitude is. It's funny because their attitude has been that, I just don't use computers anymore because there's nothing safe I can do on them.
Well, yeah, they'll just use the computers to set you up. That's a whole other issue with these being two-way, is you can't believe anything. And then with parallel construction, sneak and peeks, I mean, the entire judiciary system, in my view, is illegitimate now. We'll be right back. The Associated Press last week, and then the big Federation of Journalists this week, sent letters to Obama saying, please stop having Holder attack the press. Well, Holder has stepped down. Was it a giant piece of corruption that was coming out that was too embarrassing, or has he outlived his usefulness? Is he going to cash in with a golden parachute? Your call's coming up in the next segment. Andrew Lewman is our guest. The website is torproject.org. And it's time to start thinking about not just how we're being tracked, but radiation dangers, microwave radiation, cell phones, to have a discussion about all these computers and all these phones. And it has a lot of great uses, but it's also changing our civilization, and not for the better, because all these Trojan horses are involved. Andrew, talking to Drake and talking to Binney and others, where they've tried to indict them, tried to set them up. They have gone after other whistleblowers. I mean, you're supposed to be protected when you're exposing a crime. And look at how Snowden has had to flee and been demonized, when they were lying before, saying none of this was going on. Why aren't they getting in trouble for committing the crimes?
I don't know. It's a fine question. I think the public needs to stand up and figure out what's going on and get people to. There are people that care in the government. I've met them. They call them future whistleblowers, call them whatever. They do think this is a way out of control.
That's what's crazy, is people in the federal government I meet are more awake than the general public.
Right, and that they're worried because, I had a conversation with an agent in DHS, and he said, at some point, I'm going to retire, and I do not want to retire into this world. And he goes, I'm thinking about leaving the U.S. too. And I was like, wait, you're a federal agent. You spent your entire life doing this, and this is your concern. He's like, right. Like, what's going on here? He's like, what's happening? They're going to use all the power you give them, and then they're going to keep using power even if you don't give it to them until they're slapped down saying, don't do that. That's bad.
Exactly. And people, just like you couldn't get organic food 20 years ago, now it's displacing all the garbage at the shopping market, at the grocery store. we voted with our dollars, and it changed the paradigm. If we all start going and using Tor, if we all start, you know, getting rid of our cell phones or not taking them with us all the time or turning them off, if we all start researching the system, we could really change the paradigm.
Right. I think that you look at where technology was 14, 20 years ago, and how much improvements it's made and how much corporations have improved security over time, because, you know, they have these incentives of it affects our revenues, it affects our company. People are starting to get that power and starting to understand why a company would do that and why they want personal security and why they want, you know, a phone that's secure and things like that. So I think it's going to take time, but it's coming. You know, look at what teenagers use today. You know, I do a lot of work with teenagers, and they tell me the reason they choose, you know, various apps like Whisper and Snapchat and Secret and whatever else they use are because they advertise as secure, ephemeral things, so that it's not on some permanent record. And, you know, you do dumb things as a teenager, which is when you're supposed to be doing it, and it comes and goes away.
That's right. What do you think of Apple's new claims that they're doing some things that make it harder for illegal surveillance to take place?
I think it's a step in the right direction. I think that, you know, any company who wants to publicly come out and say they are paying attention to privacy, it may or may not have been related to the celebrity photo leaks that suddenly forced their hand. But, you know, there'll be more just like this. I mean, just look at Home Depot and Target have had two of the largest credit card breaches ever. And maybe now, you know, after their stock or their revenues or something take a hit.
You know what I like? They don't get in my face now at Barnes & Noble and Target demanding I get one of their smart cards now. They've actually shut up about it because obviously everybody's blowing up at them saying, no, I don't want my data stolen.
Right. And that concept right there has been years in the making. And when the average person can say, what are you doing with my data? You know, where do you store it? How do you store it? That's a far, far better conversation than we've ever had in the past.
Well, Andrew, I hope you'll come back with us in the future. It's Lewman.is, Lewman.is, and torproject.org. Look, I'm not a techie, but I'm learning slowly how it all works, trying to understand it, interviewing all the top experts here on a weekly basis, and make a few easy decisions out there and protect yourself and your family. It's like locking your door at night. It's not that you're living in fear. It's just that that's an added measure of protection to lock your door at night. It's very simple, and having internet security and encoding what you're doing, using Tor is just another level of that. I think it's a great idea. Andrew, thanks for the time.
Great. Thanks for having me.
All right. Wow, that's a big dog in the whole free movement on the Internet. Andrew Lewman, Executive Director of the Tor Project. I'm Alex Jones. Your calls are 3 minutes away. We're going right to you. The whole thing is a giant Tower of Babel with overinflated dollars driving it upwards. The stock market's not up, ladies and gentlemen, in the last decade. Technically it is, but not in reality. The dollar has been devalued. I mean, I'll get a couple bagels with, you know, cheese and egg on them and a couple coffees, and it's like $25. Just a year ago, it'd be like $10, and that was too much. I mean, inflation is just crazy right now. And they're going, no, inflation's at 6 or 7%, and that's considered high. No, it's more like, I think they officially say it's like 3%. They claim unemployment's like 8%. It's more like 22%. Shadow Stats has all that. All they use at Shadow Stats with John Williams is the same system they used up until Reagan left office, that they used for decades before that to calculate unemployment and inflation. But enough of that. I'm already digressing. Some good news here. Some very good news. Attorney General Eric Holder, the Washington Times, is reporting that the contempt of Congress case against him will continue. Remember when he used to threaten members of Congress just 6 months ago, saying you better watch it? A federal judge earlier this week ruled that the Justice Department will have to begin submitting documents next month. Uh-oh. It turns out Lois Lerner did destroy the emails, and they were actually saved. Remember all that? We'll have to start submitting documents next month related to the botched. It wasn't botched. It was botched because it got found out. Fast and Furious gun operation in a case brought by Judicial Watch. Man, Judicial Watch just does so much good bipartisan work. I know they're more conservative, but they go after Republicans, too. I'm not part of Judicial Watch. I'm just saying they are really awesome. I don't think it's any coincidence he's resigning as the courts are ruling that Fast and Furious information has to be released, said Fenton to the Washington Times. We've had Fenton on before. We need to get him back on. The Justice Department turned over documents related to the operation, but has refused to release documents showing the department's own handling after a top official sent a letter saying agents never knowingly allowed guns to walk, even though we have all the witnesses that they were ordered to do that. The department later had to officially retract that claim. The Obama administration said it would not prosecute Mr. Holder because he runs it, because of a long-standing policy that it not pursue contempt cases against individuals, and the White House has made a claim of executive privilege. The dirty secret was Obama swooped in and in an unprecedented way asserted executive privilege over the documents, which the Justice Department used as an excuse to not prosecute him. What an oxymoron. We can't prosecute ourselves because we can't prosecute. After he leaves office, the fight over the documents will continue, but Mr. Holder himself is likely to be safe from any fallout, analysts said. Well, yeah, because the system's so corrupt. They'd rather go harass innocent people all day. Well, the border's wide open. Let's go ahead and go to your phone calls. Thanks for holding, Brian. I thought the guest was at the bottom of the hour. The guest was at the first of the hour. My bad. So that's why everybody had to hold. Brian, go ahead. You're on the air.
This is Sergeant Joker, Northern California State Militia.
Yeah, your phone's breaking up a little bit. Try to talk right in it for me.
All right. So, I mean, I think the stock market's worse because you can indict Holder. You can arrest him. The stock market can't be stopped. Once that starts, it's over.
That's right. And when it's fiat run, it can just balloon and balloon until it pops on its own, potentially. Or perhaps it's so rigged it'll never pop. Still, as the real economy dies due to overregulation and inflation, all that's left is this fiat monster. But then the inflation inherent in it will start manifesting in the economy. I mean, what's your gut tell you, or just your everyday dead reckoning, how bad is inflation in California? Because it's off the chart in Texas and other areas. I haven't been to California in a few years.
I live in San Jose. I live in the Silicon Valley. The inflation is ridiculous. $2,800 for a two-bedroom apartment here. Nobody can afford the houses. Every third shop is closed. It's getting bad. And this is the third biggest economy in the world, Silicon Valley, and it's that bad here.
You're the supposed engine of California, that and farming, and they're cutting the water off of the farmers for invasive species fish. They are harassing everybody with more regulations and bureaucracy, running everybody out of the state who actually wants to open a business or keep a business there. And the jobs are going to China and India. Nothing against China and India, but it's so low paying there, they've got studies showing it's not even helping the Chinese or the Indians.
I mean, right. You know, I mean, and you got NAFTA and GATT and all these new trade things that are basically going to go ahead and deindustrialize the rest of the nation. And once you deindustrialize, that's it.
And that's what MIT said this year. They said, oh, my gosh, we've sent all our secrets overseas. We can't get it back. Well, I thought we were going to be super high-tech in service and all those factory jobs and all. We don't need that. Why, our young people can learn to flip burgers. And now they're closing McDonald's all across the country. Now the service economy is contracting. And if you've got a corporate job or a government job or some kind of stock market-related job, you're okay for now. But the numbers all show it going down, down, down as the baby boomers retire. And right on time, I appreciate your call, Brian, great points. Right on time, they're going, you know what, we need to kill old people. We need to have death panels. You bet we're not going to take care of you. You're lazy, you work your whole life. We're going to take those pension funds over to protect them. Let me give you a news flash. You're not going to get your government pension. You're not going to get your state pension. You're not going to get your private pension. You're not going to get most of it. They're going to take it over and federalize it to keep it safe during the stock market crash, and then they'll take 30-40% of it, and they'll take another 30-40% inflation, and by the time you get it, it'll be a pittance of what you had before. All these people say, Alex, I'm going with the system even though it's corrupt. We got to prop it up. The system is designed to implode. People should get their pension funds. Because in the aggregate, even though some of them are overblown in fiat, most of the taxes aren't going to pay for those, public and private stuff. It's going signed on to derivatives. See, the globalists want us artificially poor, so they create this black hole of derivatives and then feed all the extra money into that. Every time the economy starts racing, they up taxes to, quote, cool it down. You know that term the Federal Reserve would use, Bernanke would use, but the guy that really used it was Greenspan. Oh, we're going at 5%. It'll overheat. Let's turn it down. Overheating economy is 15 points. If you go back 100 years ago, they saw that as economy growing dangerously fast. 15% a year. 10% was their average until 1913. You're either growing or you're dying. Let's go back to the phone calls. Tim in Virginia. Thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, brother.
It's an honor to talk to you, Alex. Been listening to your show for like 3 years, and I just wanted to run a little idea conjured up over the past 9/11 anniversary. Just popped into my head, like, what would I do? What would the American people do that truly care about this country do if another situation like that happened? Just saying, well, I'm from York, Pennsylvania. This is like 4 hours away. So I just like to think that I would just hop in my car and run right up to, say, the same situation. I was only 15 years old when it happened, and it's just like something I wanted to run by you and get your thoughts on.
Sure, your radio's echoing a little bit. Are you saying what will happen if there's another 9/11?
No, I'm saying, like,
or Sandy Hook?
What would somebody do, like yourself or me, somebody that really cares about this country, do? And I'm saying I would jump right in my car, run up to help these people.
Help them if what?
If another situation, false flag situation were to happen.
Well, that's one reason they don't want to stage big open false flags and would rather let real Al-Qaeda in under the name ISIS or any of these new names they're giving them, IS, ISIL, I mean, there's just a whole bunch of them. They're actually trying to wind up, they call it a wind-up toy, real terrorists so they don't get caught staging another Fast and Furious or another Sandy Hook. Boston bombing, they got caught with their pants down. So over and over again, it's the same story now. And they get all the cops under peer pressure in their armored vehicles, wound up, let's go find the other Zarnev brother, let's shoot him up in the boat so there's no witnesses. You know, kill them traitors, kill them. Just like they burned up Dorner out in California. And I get from their perspective why they burned him up. He probably would have sat on death row for 30 years. But don't sit there and say on tape we're going to burn him up and then lie and say they didn't burn him up. I mean, it just... who knows, though, then, if Dorner really did it? Sure, the cops that burned him up thought they were killing the cop killer. But who knows anymore? I mean, that's the thing, is that you really can't believe any of this. We had Haskell and his wife, both lawyers, Kurt Haskell, on the plane, was it 5 Christmases ago, the underwear bomber, 4 Christmases ago, I forget, was it 4 or 5? Right as they roll out the naked body scanners the week before, this drugged-up guy gets put on the plane, a firecracker goes off in his underwear, and it's supposedly the end of the world. Yeah, it was back in 2012. No, it was more than that. It was more than 2 years ago, guys. That's just Kurt Haskell going public, exposing it in the trial. But listen, let's just digress. You can look up underwear bombing. I'll give you the date. I forget. 2010? Yeah, but we'll look it up. Are you on air when you're talking to the mic?
No, sir, I was just whispering in your ear.
I really want you to get... No, you're doing a great job. It's just that you make a lot of good points, CJ, and so that's why, when you can, I want you to be on the air.
Yes, sir.
I know it's a weird habit to break, nobody ever being on air in there. By the way, are we putting mics in the new studio so the control room can talk?
Yeah, we'll have a round table.
I think we're going to have some shows to break folks in where the whole show is a bunch of the crew, and we have discussions as guests, just to get everybody used to it, because I think that's what's going to happen. We've got to... get you guys baptized by fire. They have another word for it, but I'm not going to say it on air. But someday, CJ, you'll be on air so much that you actually almost start falling asleep while you're ranting, like I am right now. Just like lay down right here, kind of relax. It's not that the show's boring or anything. It's just that some days I get in here and the topics are so heavy that I almost feel like I'm in a trance. It's just really weird. And today is one of those days. I had 7 hours sleep last night. I don't know what's going on. I was so hyper yesterday, made my head spin. But today, go ahead, CJ.
It was in 2009.
It was in 2009. Thank you for fact-checking that. So my memory's great sometimes, other times I can't remember. So I said 5 years ago I was correct.
Yep.
All right, there we go. My pea-brain was accurate yet again. All right. I want to continue with your calls, but Kurt Haskell's on the plane, and he sees the whole thing staged. There's a guy for the last hour of the flight just sitting there 2 seats behind Muttalib, the puppet. They put a fake video out of him, everything. Videotaping him. Then they get them all off the plane, tell everybody to shut up about what they saw. I mean, the whole thing was staged. And then he said that he saw a sharp-dressed man get Muttalib on the plane without an ID, passport, anything, without a visa. And it turned out it was an unnamed U.S. federal agency / FBI liaison, CIA liaison. Both agency names came up, but let him on the plane, international security, and they followed his orders and put him on the plane for the underwear bombing. They put a drugged-up patsy on the plane, the son of an ambassador. And if you don't know that stage, well, I got, a bridge I'm willing to sell you in Brooklyn. It's mine, and I own it. And if you'll buy that, I'll throw the Golden Gate in free, to quote George Strait. Maybe next segment we can come in with Amarillo by morning. I think that is the best. We could have a whole radio show.
Why not oceanfront property?
Oceanfront property. I got some oceanfront property in Arizona, and from my front porch you can see the sea. And if you'll buy that, I'll throw the Golden Gate in free. I just love George Strait. Let's go listen to George Strait instead of worrying about the New World Order. I mean, I'm sick of the government being so evil. I'm sick of it being so bad. I'm sick of so much stuff being totally staged. It's just really scary. But what's more scary is not admitting it and do something about it. Josh in Georgia, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Alex, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Thanks for holding.
Yes, thank you for having me. First-time caller, long-time listener. And I wanted to bring up 2 things. First off, with Eric Holder, I believe that the dude has to step down just because there is so much junk against him. And the way that people view him now, he's just not viewed as that Obama savior as when Obama ran in 2008. And what they're going to do is, what I believe, replace him with somebody who is going to fulfill the things that he is not going to be able to fulfill just because of how he's viewed and how people look at him now.
You think it'll be a woman just to play that stunt up for the coming of Hillary, our savior?
That is very possible. Now, the next thing I wanted to bring up to you was something that was signed into law and just swept under the news, but it's affecting us everywhere. It's the Dodd-Frank law. I've been a mortgage loan originator for 5 years, and my company had to cease and desist October 13th, 2013, because in one day, 400 new laws were implemented under the Dodd-Frank law, and that caused our company to cease and desist. Now, the fact is, we were not breaking any laws, but these new compliance laws that came into effect were written so strategically to our advertising, to the way that we're able to do our business, we had to cease and desist so that we wouldn't break any laws. So we have non-depository banks all around America. They're going to be shutting down, and it's going to be propping up these big banks, these new regulations, and that's what's going to take over is these new banking regulatory agencies. When the local banks shut down, we're going to be bound by the money changers. And the
head of the Texas Banking Association 4 years ago wrote a huge piece that I saw in the Austin Business Journal, but it was syndicated through business journals all over the state. And you'd have thought I had written it. You would have thought that you had written it. I mean, he said exactly that, and I've read the regulations. I've looked at the synopses. It is meant to shut down credit unions, small banks, and red tape everybody, and was literally written by J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all the usual suspects. And you're absolutely right. And it is a travesty that they've done this.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what we're going to see now, the regulatory agencies, all we see coming into place now are these lawmakers. I've never heard so many news articles with new lawmakers coming up with new policies, new regulations, new laws. I've never seen so many laws come into effect.
Yeah, they're the ones that wrote it all with the derivatives and the mega banks and giving poor people loans that couldn't pay it back. And they're still doing all that. They've increased the derivatives. That's been in mainstream news. They've accelerated it, and they've used their fraud to get regulations in to only shut down their competition, the local banks that are the lifeblood of any community, while lobbying to stop the formation of state banks and things like that. We need diversity in banking. That's why it's important, folks, that if you've got an international business and you need a big mega bank, fine, have one. But have your money in a local bank. You usually get better service anyways. I mean, there are so many good local and regional banks, and people don't bank with them. They are insane. They are crazy. And if you don't try to go get your home mortgage with a smaller company, I just think you're nuts. It really comes down to that. Besides, a big bank will end up buying your mortgage anyway, so they end up winning in the end no matter what we do, it seems. All right, more calls straight ahead, and we have a special guest, top investigator. More incredible leads on Sandy Hook being a false flag. And if you think carbon taxes and global warming fraud isn't a scam, I'll sell you a bridge on the moon. And yes, it's made out of Swiss cheese. And if you don't agree with that, you're racist. And if you don't agree that Common Core is a good idea, you guessed it again, you're racist. And if you don't agree with MSNBC telling you the family's bad, well, you're a homophobe. I'm going to go back to Wild Man. And then we're going to move on to Ryan and Mike and Richard and Ben. Before I do that, it will sell out today. Believe me, I wish we had enough to supply everybody. We didn't want to wait 12 weeks. That's not a sales tactic. About, I don't know, 20% of what's going to come in came in. They were able to get an early batch into us. These are very proprietary, patented ingredients at strengths and concentrations that nobody else is putting out. You can find synthetic stuff out there, and it's still very expensive. This is not. It's DNA Force, true NutriMedical, and you can read about all the amazing things it's on record doing. I got to warn you, though, if you got nerve damage and stuff, say in your knees or your elbows and stuff, when a lot of people called, we warned you about this, you get numb. And that's because the nerves are growing back. I mean, we can actually say that because these are patented. This is proven. The ingredients in here. Go watch the specific details. Read about it at InfoWarsLife.com. Now, we also have AccuPower. That's kind of the poor man's version of it. Excellent as well. And then we have Lung Cleanse. This helps me with my larynx. It helps me when I'm giving a speech. It helps me, get over a cold quicker or clearly not get one. I know a very well-known country musician, I'll just leave it at that, who started using this in the last year since it came out, takes it on tour with him to Europe, you name it. And he was just here at the office, I don't know, like a year ago when some test bottles were here, and I said, hey, try this. And now he's got a lot of different lozenges and things he tries to use. Obviously, he's a singer. That's what they do. They've all been discarded for InfoWars Lung Cleanse, and now he buys it by the case and gives it to his musician friends. I'm going to leave it at that. But the point is, get your Lung Force, start using it as we go into the winter, and it supports the entire transmission and everything we do. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWars Lung Cleanse, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. We've got all the new Molon Labe Special Forces 50 cal style. And InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com is the master site, but Made-in-1776.com is the sub-site where all the Made in America apparel resides. And please support our local AM and FM affiliates. Spread the word about them to your friends and family. Like them on Facebook and Twitter. And become a sponsor or support those sponsors. And let them know why you're supporting them. Your calls, a special guest, and more. Third hour, straight ahead. Into hour number 3, tons of news, special reports, and more breaking news on the Sandy Hook false flag. Man, that's an obvious false flag, an orgy of evidence. Let's talk to Wild Man in Texas. You're on the air. What do you think of Lord Holder?
Oh, my God. Love you, Alex, as a fellow Jesus follower.
Love you too, brother.
Yeah, I'm here in Amarillo, so Amarillo by morning works for me. I'll get to Janet Reno's long-lost brother here in a second. As far as the stock market, I'm close to retirement, so I kind of watch all that stuff, my 401k and all that. And I've been working since I was 7 years old. I started shining shoes here in Amarillo on Polk Street when I was 7. So,
and you'll be looking for 8 when they pull that gate?
Yeah, you bet. That's how I got it, riding bulls, And but anyway, with them doing the stock market, you had a person on your show here couple of weeks ago. I believe his name was Harry Dent, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I want to get him back on.
Yeah, and he really got me doing some research and stuff. Of course, I got somebody kind of handling my stuff because I'm not real up on this stock market stuff.
But sure, but I mean, when the baby boomers retire, that shows a downward trend in the global economy.
Right. And I mean, I'm tired of them raping and pillaging my hard-earned money, just like all the rest of us God-fearing men and women, and using it on stuff like arming them boneheads over there, the ISIS or whatever you want to call them.
Boy, boneheads is right. But boneheads, it's just amazing. They like won't let kids go to school and like don't want them to learn how to read and write. It's as bad as Common Core.
Yeah, I mean, and they think we're, like you say all the time, they think we're stupid and we don't know what's going on. My God, man, it's time for us as blue-blooded Americans to stand up, shoulder to shoulder, and say, okay, enough is enough. I think that's what's going on with old Janet Reno's long-lost brother Holder, is he's bailing out because I think the regime is coming down slowly but surely.
It is. They've had the most resignations of any administration ever, except for Nixon. I was reading that today. There's only 2 people left in the administration that were there originally. What is it? Agriculture and transportation, I think. I'm going from memory. But let's not actually be too mean to Janet Reno. You know, her son is on MSNBC. Did you know that?
No, I did not. I don't watch that trash.
You know, Janet Reno's son goes by Rachel Maddow.
Really?
Yep.
I did not know that.
and 2 plus 2 equals 5 as well. And Obama's not arming Al Qaeda either. And the Easter Bunny's real.
Yeah. Well, I got news for him. You know, I acquired this name Wild Man up in Colorado because I moved up there to go to high school, and I guarantee you Coloradans don't like Texans, and I know why, but that's a whole other point.
Oh, really? You know, my nickname was Wild Man, amongst others.
Really?
Yeah, so are you saying Coloradans don't like Texans?
No, they do not like us, and it's I acquired it up there back in high school in 1974, and when I started riding bulls and stuff, and I mean, they don't like us Texans mainly because Texans, oil owners, people like that own most of the land up there, so they can't go hunt, and that ticks them off because it's all leased land. You know,
well, it is true that almost every rich Texan I know owns a spread in Colorado. And why not? Because Colorado's beautiful.
Yeah, and I told them, you know, of course, I got in a lot of fights against this. I told them, well, you know, the southern part of Colorado used to be Texas when we was our own country, so we can just take it back. You guys don't have to worry about splitting.
That's right. Hey, I'm for invading Colorado. I think Texas ought to start invading surrounding states. I mean, hey, Oklahoma used to be part of Texas, so you're not. I'm saying we're taking it over, and next Colorado, it could be our own new country. We'll call it Texarkana or something, and we can have like a boss hog dictator who hands out free guns. 2 Ebola patients who died of the virus in separate communities in Nimbia County have reportedly resurrected in the county. That means they just buried somebody that wasn't dead yet. The victims, both females believed to be in their 60s and 40s, respectively, died of the Ebola virus recently in Hope Village community. I mean, here's another one on the New York Times. In Liberia, home deaths spread circle of Ebola contagion. And they're talking about Liberia and Sierra Leone completely collapsing now. They're going from saying it may happen to it'll probably happen. Sierra Leone cordons off 3 areas to control Ebola. The lockdowns have happened. A nice microcosm of what will happen here if mousepox or something gets out. U.S. hospitals unprepared to handle Ebola waste. Reuters. Yeah, and why are they bringing in, like, it's more than 10 people that have Ebola to the U.S. and South Dakota and Florida and Georgia. I mean, you never did it before. Why are you doing it? Sierra Leone's quarantines 1 million ahead of UN Ebola talks. I mean, these are just wild headlines. Ebola virus outbreak. Just 2 doctors available to treat 85,000 people in Liberia's county. In 1 county, FDA warns 3 companies against marketing their products as Ebola treatments or cures. That's out of the Washington Post. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration sent letters to 3 companies this week warning them against marketing their products as possible treatments or cures for Ebola. The letters posted online Wednesday document multiple claims from the companies or their paid representatives that essential oils and other natural remedies can help prevent you contracting the Ebola virus, and at least one instance effectively kills the Ebola virus. There are currently no approved treatments, cures, or vaccines. You know, my view on this is they don't want them saying colloidal silver, stuff like that. I don't think you can say anything cures something, except vitamin C. I mean, if you don't have vitamin C, you will get scurvy. And it's known fact, like if a fish doesn't have water, it dies. Or if you don't have oxygen, a human dies. But according to the FDA, you're not even supposed to say that if you're a medical doctor. You can't say oxygen is needed or the sun is needed. The UN voted 5 years ago to say the sun doesn't affect climate. I mean, this is like saying 2 + 2 = whatever Obama says. But I don't think you can say colloidal silver cures things, but it certainly is an antibiotic. Certainly it's an old remedy they've been using forever. I know I personally am getting my vitamin C up, my exercise up, my sunshine up, trying to be in a good mood, because I've gone and looked at the numbers. We need to be in a good mood. We need to also be focused about fixing problems. That's what the brain wants, is to be proactive, involved, cheerful, but also facing the facts. And what I'm doing is I am taking essential oils. I am eating garlic. I am trying to get my immune system boosted, but not because of Ebola. That's part of it, a very small part. I don't think that's going to be a big deal here, I hope. Horrible for Africa. Top virologist saying 5 million could die. What is all these super bugs and super bacteria that are killing so many people. That's why I'm trying to get healthy. That's why I'm getting really serious about getting my sleep and all the rest of it, because no good to the world if we're dead, folks. And I think this winter, you're already seeing this mystery illness that's connected to vaccines, and because only vaccinated kids are getting it as they go to school, hurting people, killing people. I mean, here's what I'm doing personally. I'm drinking purified water. I'm taking high-quality vitamins and minerals. I'm getting more exercise, more sunshine, more sleep, trying to be in a good mood. And I'm not taking any of these government drugs. And that's why they're going after companies out there, is they only want Bill Gates and Monsanto to come out with that Ebola vaccine. They don't, which most vaccines say on the insert, they can't prove it even will protect you from MMR or whatever the case is. So they can't even really say. But they'll advertise the Ebola vaccine like it's a cure to everything. I mean, it's like Rogaine that guys put on their heads so their hair doesn't fall out. When I've talked to guys, they say, yeah, it makes little hair grow. But they can actually say proven to regrow hair, you know, in certain, I think it's 25% of the time or something. I don't know. I read about it a while back because my hair's falling out. I'm kind of like, what's the point? I just kind of want to get it there, though. You know, if it's going to fall out, let's just get it there. Then maybe I should, you know what? I think I'll lose another 20, 30 pounds. I may just shave it. The Mr. Clean look. I'm kind of jealous of folks that, you know, can sport the chrome dome. Jakari pulls it off. The thing is, you got to be in shape. You can't have extra fat if you shave your head. So if I get there, I think I'm going to shave this sucker. In the new look, I'll grow a goatee and act tough. Walk around going, ugh. I'm joking. Won't do that. What do they call the little flavor savers? Grow one of those as like a Hitler
Soul patch or a Van Dyke?
Yeah. A soul patch Van Dyke. The little thing under it. I'm joking. I'm not going to get one of those. Hey, I'm not knocking the facial hair craze. I can grow a Santa Claus beard. But I just don't like to mess with it. I mean, if I lived in the Arctic or something, when I was about 20, I grew a beard for about 2 weeks. It was brown, red, and it was like that long, and it itched. And I don't like it. I'm going to be honest. Look how much hair I got on my arms, folks. I mean, you think I can grow a beard? Oh, yeah, big time. But guys that have the beards, they like sport it like you're not a man because you don't have this beard. They think the movie 300's what brought beards in. I really think so. And it's like, no, I don't have beard envy. In fact, I feel sorry for you. This is not a morning show. I'm sorry. I'm kind of in a babbly mood today. Ryan in Oklahoma, thanks for holding. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, Alex, I might need some of your help articulating this, because it's a fun story, but it kind of has...
Go ahead, Ryan. Man. It's really weird because this guy called in yesterday, but it was at the end of the show, so I didn't get to him. So I wanted to go to him now. Ryan, talk right into that telephone.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a bad cell phone. We'll try him later if he can get to a good spot because he's been trying to get in so long. But Mike in South Carolina, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex, I wanted to talk about the timing of Holder's resignation and what they're trying to accomplish and or avoid. Do you think that Obama is trying to push through another AG before the Republicans take over the Senate?
Exactly, and then they'll have to have the controversy of getting rid of one when the new administration comes in. I think they're putting in fresh meat. Holder has been battered and tarnished with all the scandals he's been caught in, and he's in his contempt of Congress hearings right now. So that investigation goes forward. So just like they got rid of Big Sis, she has outlived her usefulness like toilet paper.
Well, now it came out the other day also that Justice Ginsburg has refused to resign. Do you think they're looking for another Supreme Court nominee?
Oh, of course. They want to get a new, young person to officiate gay weddings in there, like Kagan. I mean, that's important. That soon you'll be able to call the Supreme Court to officiate your gay wedding in D.C., and so they've got to have just a lineup of Janet Reno clones. I think they should literally clone Janet Reno and make all 9 of them 6'3", giant cousin-it, hunchback, weird cave trolls that chase skirts around D.C., I think, it's not that I'm even against lesbians, folks, but it's discriminatory that an ugly white woman with a commando haircut, that's all you can have now is federal judges or the Supreme Court. Listen, Elena Kagan actually starred in the new Batmans that came out in the 90s, the first remakes, as the Penguin. Can we pull up Mayor Cobblepot or whatever his name is? Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. Elena Kagan, I joke about clones and I shouldn't do it, and it's wrong. And it's tasteless. But it's not funny what they did. They stole Danny DeVito's genetic blueprint and crossed it with Janet Reno and created Elena Kagan. She's not a real person. She's not 48 years old or whatever they say she is. She's actually a genetic splice programmable creature. And actually... can we show folks a shot of Elena Kagan of her TV viewers? Just type in the Penguin. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is uncanny. Uncanny. Okay, this is satire, ladies and gentlemen. Anything else, sir? I apologize.
At least Janet Reno deported Elian Gonzalez.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know about Janet Reno when she was a prosecutor, what she got caught doing, right? It was even in the Miami papers. You know about her?
Well, I lived there then, but...
so you know about the little kids?
Not exactly.
Well, sir, I'm sorry that I've been in satire mode today, but that was serious about her and the 13-year-old girl in the back of the car covered in vomit. Reno's so drunk and on pills she couldn't even talk when the state police found her. But that got swept under the rug. Anything else, sir?
No, that's it, Alex.
God bless you. Thanks for putting up with me. Richard and others, your calls are straight ahead, as well as Ryan if his phone works. Actually, it was Rush Limbaugh. Holder may be resigning so Obama can nominate him for Supreme Court. And, I think that's actually smart. It's bold. He could sit over cases about him and would probably not recuse himself. Totally criminal. They would do it. See, because it's all about being over the top. It's all about just rubbing our faces in it and saying we're racist if we don't want to turn our guns into Eric Holder with all his bodyguards. What a bunch of disconnected weirdos, all their political correctness. You don't like me because I'm black, and you don't like Kagan because she's a lesbian. No, I don't like Kagan because she's another authoritarian dirtbag with bodyguards that wants my guns and was involved in all sorts of corruption and bizarre court cases, violating people's rights because she's an authoritarian. And I think it's discriminatory now that you can only have lesbian women in charge of things in government. Let's go ahead and talk to Richard in Pennsylvania. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. been listening to your show about for a year and a half now. I'd just like to say that I'm actually taking a major in information technology over at a major technology college over here in Pennsylvania. Now, I've seen a growing trend of the NSA and other institutions trying to recruit people within the field of IT in order to...
Oh, yeah, there's a giant Manhattan Project on steroids program just where everything will be the NSA or these agencies and just ubiquitous spying at every level.
Yeah, and it's definitely disconcerting because I'm even seeing it going into cultural Marxism, trying to get women who don't even want to get into STEM majors in order to recruit them to build these giant databases for the NSA.
Oh, yeah, when I bring up women, it's because secret documents just came out with the video game makers, Sony and Microsoft, being advised by, quote, top feminists. There's an article out today about, in a study, women want a man that makes money. Well, now the men are being phased out to have jobs, and any state-run system is trying to put women in charge of things, but only to break up any human community. And then they tell women, carry out this authoritarianism because it empowers women. Or, you know, we need women for the NSA. Join the NSA. You know, you'll violate people's rights. That'll show the men. And so, yes, it's an attempt to totally scramble the culture, not to empower women. And so they sell it all as, you know, it's girls against the guys and vice versa. And then the women are 45 desperately trying to get a guy. And, you know, but she's just not happy with the construction worker husband. You know, she's making $200,000 a year. He's making $50,000 a year. And, you know, she wants a man, but at the same time, she wants to boss him around, but it doesn't satisfy her. So then she goes and gets a pet that does whatever, you know, she says, and then she hates him. And then she goes out and gets her a woman, and that doesn't satisfy her. And then she's 60, and that's, you know, she doesn't have kids, doesn't have jack squat. But, hey, she worked for the government. She's powerful. Yay. I hear you. Good to hear from you, Richard. Ben in Missouri, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex. How's it going?
Good.
First of all, I just wanted to say, I know he doesn't understand yet, but happy birthday. My son's 1 year old today. Very healthy, climbs on everything, and he's not vaccinated because I'm deeply racist.
You know, the word son is a little bit politically incorrect, like American flags are, or brown bags are racist in Seattle. So let's just not call him, let's be gender neutral. You have a human resource bot, 1 year old being scheduled for programming for unification with the great mothership of the great state. Oh, eugenics, I love you, Obama.
Exactly. My offspring is 1 year old today.
It's not your offspring, it's the state's. MSNBC said so. And a black woman said it, so it's racist if you don't agree. The state runs the kids, racist, white scum. Go ahead, sorry.
Absolutely, no problem. So first of all, I was down in Austin a few months ago, and on our trade publication, I was at the American Association of Physics and Medicine conference, and in our trade publication that month, it said that nanosilver particles actually fight cancer. So documented scientific research.
I don't care what scientific research says. Okay, the polar bears can't swim. They're all dead. Al Gore said so. Silver does not help anything. It does nothing to fight microbes. Nothing.
It's a conspiracy theory.
Yes, anything else racist?
Conspiracy theory.
Yes.
And I also wanted to say, speaking of people who look like other people, Dianne Feinstein, I think she was in Kindergarten Cop. She was the villain in Kindergarten Cop. And
well, you know, I saw a horse's butt one time that looked like Dianne Feinstein. I'm serious. I'm not trying to be mean here. I mean, it was a dead horse in the ditch, and those flies all over the place. I'm sorry. I was having a flashback to Dianne Feinstein. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much.
We're on the march.
We're going to get serious in a minute.
The
okay?
Empire's on the run.
Okay, we're going to get serious.
Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Straight ahead. According to FBI crime statistics at FBI.gov, no one died in 2012 in Sandy Hook. It shows no homicides in that town. And that story by Adon Salazar is online at Infowars.com. We'll put that on screen, show some screenshots of those statistics for TV viewers. Again, radio listeners can go there and pull that up for themselves. But Wolfgang W. Halbig was a state police officer, then a customs enforcement officer, and then he went on to head up major university security, and then he runs one of the biggest school security, both college, but also K through 12 security programs. And he's been featured before going public questioning Sandy Hook on Dateline NBC, Good Morning America. I'm not going to go over it all, but he really is a leading expert. When we started seeing him speak out in the last year, we went and checked into him. And Facebook.com/Sandy Hook Justice or SandyHookJustice.com. And he has gone up there. He has investigated. I want him to briefly recap. And by the way, if he wants a bunch of business, this is the opposite way to do it with government contracts to go and stir all this trouble up. And he's explained, I mean, he's been visited by the feds. He's been threatened. And that's when he really turned the heat up. So as an investigator, he knows when people are acting scared. They told him, they said, just stop looking. You need to quit looking, buddy. If there wasn't something there, they'd just laugh at him. And you look at the videos of the kids walking in circles in and out for the news cameras, and they come right out a minute later, it's the same ones. And, you know, they catch an anti-terrorism guy out in the bushes and say they didn't. And no, emergency helicopters were sent. And you've got the green screens with Anderson Cooper's nose disappearing, and it just goes on and on, on and on, on and on. Perfect timing. You got Bloomberg sending the email out the day before to get ready for a big event. That's mainstream news. But now, and again, we're going to pull the article up and put it on screen. In fact, if you scroll down, guys, I'll give them the headline. Thank you. FBI says no one killed at Sandy Hook. Agency publishes crime report showing 0 murders occurred in Newtown in 2012, even though that happened in December. And that's from the FBI crime statistics, which are unusually accurate. They're some of the best statistics out there. Don't believe me, just look into it, because they're compiled locally. Now, you could say it's a mistake, but it just adds to everything. And Wolfgang has been back up there. He's doing a serious investigation. He's been getting stonewalled, but has learned a lot. So, Wolfgang, recap the basic anomalies, and then give us what happened in your new investigation, and then let's talk about this new piece of evidence. Is it important, or can we get a response from the FBI? Thank you, Wolfgang, for joining us.
Well, you know, I did get a response. I called the New Haven FBI offices, and their response is, well, they've been asked by the Connecticut State Police not to put those numbers on their data sheet. Now, when has the state police ever told the FBI what to do? I mean, that's just unheard of. And, you know, you got to remember President Obama called the director, Robert Mueller, in those days, and he told Director Mueller to take direct charge of the investigation at Sandy Hook. Now, today, because people have the courage to share this data with us, can you imagine no murders in Newtown in the year 2012? The FBI has to keep accurate records. They keep it for the whole country. Why do they do that? Because that's how the federal government allocates grant monies to states so they can fight violence. Now, here's Sandy Hook. They've already got over $200 million. For what? There's nobody who died in 2012 in Newtown.
Incredible. What do you think's going on here? And then let's get into your new evidence, your second leg of your investigation.
Well, I think the big thing is that, you know, I forgot about it. I mean, I'm a FEMA-trained person. I really forgot about the Homeland Security under, there was a Senator, Lieberman. He's the one that was in charge of putting FEMA and Homeland Security under one umbrella, and they came up with this word capstone. Alex, the American people need to wake up and listen to what these exercises are. If Homeland Security, FEMA capstone exercise, it starts at the White House, at the president's desk, goes all the way through Congress, to the Attorney General, down through the FBI, all the way to the local government. It is a whole community event. And I think that's what happened at Sandy Hook. That's why when I just did a workshop for 200 school board members, and you know what they asked me? Well, how does the whole community involved in this? How in the world can you get a community that engaged? It's a capstone event. There's so much money now flowing into Newtown. It's unbelievable.
And if you've got control of the FBI and the agencies and the media, that you get them all involved in the corruption up front, It only involves really a few of the main controllers, maybe I would guess 100 people or so. And then everybody kind of saw the kids and saw a simulation, just like the Boston bombing. I mean, I had a former super high-level CIA guy who ran foreign operations on Steele last week. And he said, bottom line, and not just from the evidence, but from his sources, he said Boston and Sandy Hook were staged. Dr. Steve Pachinik ran the Camp David Accords, wrote the books with Tom Clancy. He's the Jack Ryan character. He's been in combat situations at least 10 times. And he said day one it was staged. I mean, these are heavy hitters saying this. Pachinik ran psychological warfare for the CIA, basically, in the Pentagon. He was above it from the State Department. Anybody that knows the State Department runs those. Runs the Army, you name it. That's where the actual orders come from. I've got a cousin in Black Ops, and he said, your show's absolutely accurate. Our orders come from the State Department, not even from the Pentagon. And so I knew it stunk. I mean, why would Anderson Cooper turn and be a green screen and his nose disappear? Why would they have kids going in and coming out clearly staged? I just didn't. Early on, I said, well, they had to have killed somebody. I mean, this doesn't make sense. Then parents come out and start laughing and then turn to the camera and cry. I mean, this stinks to high heaven. This is what you do. Tell us why you question up front, recapping for new listeners, and then get into, I know you went back and visited recently, and tell us what happened.
Well, you know, the big thing that we found is we actually found the only footage, live footage, shot by a helicopter. It's the only footage, Alex, that has a timestamp on it when you see the people chasing each other in the woods. Remember, that's what CNN really did. They try to hook everybody, and they're showing these people running into the woods because guess what? They announced that a teacher just reported seeing two shadows running by the gym. Well, Alex, that footage was not shot till 12:23 in the afternoon. Now, why would you chase somebody in the woods after lunch? The school was safe and secure by 10:35. These are all scripted events. These were events that were specially shot, filmed, choreographed for CNN to have fun with it.
Absolutely, and we caught them with the blue screen, and CNN's been caught faking stuff before. But let's go back to the beginning. As a top, I mean, you got to be in the top 5 on-record experts on school security in the country. You buy into it at first. I mean, I remember you saying that, and then you start to have questions.
Bought into it. But you know what? When I woke up is when I realized there were no trauma helicopters. At Hartford, they could have put trauma doctors, knowing that
you got a bunch of kids shot. You don't even ask questions. Default helicopters launch.
They're gone. You know what? And the thing is, I even called Lifestar. What upset Lifestar is they never got a call, even asking them to stand by. And then and who announced who said that all these children and teachers are dead within 11 minutes? That's unheard of.
Well, it was like Breitbart. Within 1 hour of him going to the hospital, they announced he was dead, natural causes.
Yeah, but who does that for children? You know, the pediatric protocols tell us that if you have a child who's shot at home or in the school, boy, you transport him and you get him to the hospital as quickly as possible. That never happened. And then we're, like you said, we're the 600 other kids. We can't find 600 kids. Where are they? I mean,
why did they tear the school down? Why didn't they let anybody in? Why are they keeping all the records so secret?
Well, I think because, you know, people forget. On the headlines in the Hartford Courant, they showed where Sandy Hook was loaded with toxic. It was a toxic waste dump. Alex, it's a toxic waste dump. Who would send their children to that kind of school? And that school, based on the photographs by the crime scene technicians from the Connecticut State Police, it is the filthiest, the most deplorable school that I, as a principal, have ever seen.
Sure, it was only used as a cutout. It had been closed until right before they reopened it for this event.
And that's why when I do my FOIA request, one of the things I've learned as an administrator, show me the work orders beginning May the 1st through December the 13th, 2012.
Show me the custodial. Show me that there's nothing. It's a cutout.
There's nothing. And for 15 months, Alex, the school board refuses to call me back. They refuse to answer the questions. I've spent over $15,000 trying to get FOIA request answers. And guess what? Not one response.
Yeah, why don't they just release it and shut you up?
I'd go away.
You know, I don't want this to have ever happened, but I wish it was real instead of fake. That is 100 times more scary.
Yep. You know what? I agree with you right there. I wish it was real. I wish I would just go away. It's affected my entire family. It's affected my lifestyle. I do this for a living. And, you know, when people ask me, I've got to tell them the truth about what happened. I was at Columbine. We learned active shooter training. I see nothing at Sandy Hook that even remotely looks close.
In fact, I was looking you up. That's why you were on Good Morning America and all this stuff. Didn't you help develop everything we see today?
Yes, emergency management plan. We came out with the first color-coded emergency plan. We sold it across the country. Even where Obama sends his kids, Sidwell Friends, they actually bought this emergency management plan from me. And, I mean, now they have Secret Service, of course, but I've been in 1,000 different school districts all across the country.
And let me guess, coming out with something, I bet this has cut into your business.
It has. I've been blackballed.
See, you're the perfect witness. You got this great record, national expert. You see it. You have integrity. You tell the truth. And I bet it got you blackballed. But it didn't get you blackballed with God, though. Or no, with all the parents out there that appreciate you and all the gun owners that appreciate you. Because this was clearly their PR false flag. Listen, Obama has been caught at least 6 times staging fake shootings, fake bombings, and chemical attacks. It's even been in the BBC that NATO and Turkey were involved staging false flags. This is mainstream news. So if they'll stage false flags or launch a chemical attack that kills civilians to blame Assad and the army, would they stage something in America to get our guns? You'd have to be, if they'd stage Fast and Furious that they admit killed 2,000 plus Mexicans, over 100 law enforcement in Mexico, at least 6 law enforcement in this country, 2 of them Border Patrol, to blame the Second Amendment, as CBS News found the secret documents leaked by good members of the ATF. If they would do that, would they stage this? Wolfgang.
Can I tell you what? If we allow this to stand and if we don't challenge it, who's going to be next? What are they going to do next to us? And I think this government thinks people are not smart enough to figure it out. And I thank God that you're there, Alex, because you got the voice and you can reach people. I'm disappointed in the NRA. I've asked them for financial help, donations, so we can file our first civil lawsuit. If you were in my house today, Alex, I'll show you all the evidence that 2 Connecticut state troopers gave to me. They showed me the script they used on that day. They used a script. And there's a company called...
Let's stop right there. The amount of evidence you've gotten, and you've been threatened. Recap the threats, and then tell you what those state troopers gave you.
Well, the threats are, you and I would never be talking if they didn't send those 2 homicide investigators. And I'm going to tell you what, they threatened me. They said if I don't stop asking questions about Sandy Hook, the Connecticut State Police were coming to my home, and they're going to arrest me. Then I had 2 deputy sheriffs come to my house telling me that the Newtown police chief wants to know when I'm coming to Newtown. And then they asked if I owned any handguns. And I said, it's none of y'all's business. And then I got a phone call from the sergeant from the Southbury Police Department telling me that I never, ever need to call the Chatfield Porta Potty Company again and asking who ordered the porta potties, when were they ordered, and who paid for them. They said, stop harassing the porta potty company. That's public record. That's paid for with taxpayer dollars.
They're trying to block your investigation.
Every step. And I think, Alex, we do have a solution, and I just hope people would help me. I was hoping the NRA would help us. I was hoping Larry LaPratt would step up. And the civil lawsuit is going to expose it. And
we're going to talk about that in the next segment, but let's get into what these state troopers gave you.
Well, the state trooper showed me where the script is within the 11,000-page document. You know, the Sandy Hook Commission, the governor appointed, they actually called this 11,000-page document the biggest data dump that the Connecticut State Police and Stephen Sudensky, the Danbury State Attorney, they created the biggest data dump. It doesn't make any sense. You'll spend the rest of your life trying to read it to try to understand it.
Sure. I mean, that's a tactic in depositions, is to dump so much on people they can't.
And they did. And they dumped it. So when I flew up to Hartford, Connecticut, I met with 2 Connecticut troopers, and they trusted me because they were in my class. I was their instructor in 2002. And they said, Wolfgang, we don't like what they're doing in Connecticut. They're corrupt. It's nothing but corruption in Connecticut. And you know what? They don't work up there anymore. They quit after we met. They're tired of it. They're scared. They've got families. They've got kids. But dear God, they told me about Capstone. They told me about the scripts. They showed me where the evidence is. They showed me the pictures about Shannon Hicks and how she could not have taken those pictures on that day. I mean, thank God these guys trusted me.
And as you dig deeper, what else are you discovering?
Well, what we're discovering is that sworn affidavits by Connecticut police officers, they're actually lying under oath. Now, being a former state trooper, I'm going to tell you, Alex, I would never do that. I am not going to put my family at risk and lie on an affidavit to please who? You know, I think maybe they've got immunity. Somebody must have done something to where these guys are so cocky, they could care less. They don't return phone calls. But I tell you what, there are 16 Connecticut state troopers who lied under sworn testimony. And I can prove that because, Alex, picture this. 16 of them said they crawled through that shot-out glass window on December 14, 2000.
You can see the window that nobody's crawled through it, and nobody could because it was shattered glass. It would all fall. Right.
It's 42 1/3 inches high, 35 1/3 wide. There's these SWAT teams and Connecticut, these are big guys with their weapons.
Midgets couldn't go through there without knocking it down.
All right, so now what do we have? We have 16 people with sworn affidavits who outright lied, which is a felony. Now, guess what? What do we do with that? We need to take them. This should be enough evidence to start a grand jury. I just need help. I need the voices. I need help. And now with the FBI data showing that there are no murders in Newtown, I mean, come on. This is common sense.
Incredible. We're going to come back and talk about how folks can support you. And I do want to send some reporters up there with you as part of an investigation soon. Wolfgang is our guest. SandyHookJustice.com supporting. He has a lot of courage and a sterling record. He's putting it all on the line to expose what we all know is pure bull. Our flagship product that's so hard to get, we haven't been out of it for 12 months, a small portion of it has gotten in and will sell out in the next day or so, probably quicker. But if you want to get DNA Force and other InfoWarsLife.com products, InfoWarsLife.com, and your purchase helps fund this whole operation, and it takes a lot of money to run an independent operation. We're not taxpayer-funded like NPR or MSNBC that most folks don't know is partially taxpayer-funded. We get zero taxpayer money, ladies and gentlemen. It's all free will. And a product I'm really proud of with the winter coming up and all the stuff that's going on is Lung Cleanse. Go read about this product. It's so easy to use. 3 shots in the mouth and then inhale. Just a little bit, then goes down in the lungs. Amazing. InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. That's 888-253-3139. Going back to Wolfgang W. Halbig, one of the top school safety experts in the country, who just looked at this and says the whole school's a cutout. It's completely staged, and you add all the other evidence to it. It's really overwhelming. Wolfgang, talk about how you can file a civil lawsuit here, where your investigation's going, but also how people support you, and how did they think they'd get away with something this big, this brazen, this obvious? And I think it's been a bloody nose to them, and I saw national polls where a large group of people don't believe it. Videos all over the web with tens of millions of views a piece in some cases, showing the evidence it's a hoax. I mean, I think this teaches them not to stage stuff.
Well, now, you know, for the first time, Alex, we actually have the script. And there's a company called Obsidian that works out of Washington, D.C. Now, that is probably one of the most powerful organizations you need to check out because they're writing all of the scripts. You know, whenever FEMA or Homeland Security has a major crisis or problems, Benghazi, these people are out there writing the scripts.
Funny name, you know, Obsidian means black.
Well, can I tell you what? Now, they're a scary group, and you need to check them out. They wrote the script for Sandy Hook. And when you read the script, you've got lead actors, you got supporting actors. I mean, everything falls into place. You don't even see the chief of police, the captain, and 4 lieutenants. You don't hear a word from any of those until an hour and a half into the shooting event.
Sure, I want to be clear about Obsidian, though, because I've heard of the group, but I'm not saying they've done anything. It is creepy. It's a black pyramid's their symbol. But if you expand on all this, it's like Hollywood's been asked to write scripts that the CIA later uses in real operations. So they're writing the main scripts, and then they're getting picked up. I mean, that doesn't prove that they somehow were involved just because they wrote the script, right?
Well, I'm not saying I can't prove that they did exactly that, but when you look at Obsidian, I saw their name in the 11,000 pages, and that's where I tied them together. Now, how did the word Obsidian show up in that type of police report? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
It's a super creepy name, super creepy symbol.
Well, when you look at the management staff of Obsidian, that's a powerful group of people. Their pictures are posted, their backgrounds. That is a very powerful group.
Well, I know this. I've seen CNN and others run hoaxes. I've seen the White House do it, and it's getting more blatant. So I think something would be wrong with us not to question all these. And then you look at the green screens and just the lies and the fake videos, and you're really sure, though, nobody died? It was a total cutout.
I'm telling you, nobody died. And you know why? I'm going to tell you this. I've been a school administrator for 30-some-odd years. When I have a child with a broken arm, or I've got a fight on the school bus, or a child's been stabbed or shot, the first thing we get ready for are lawsuits. Alex, if there would have been just 2 or 3 lawsuits filed by the parents or loved ones who lost someone that day at Sandy Hook, I'd go away.
Oh, there'd be 100 lawsuits right now. I didn't even think of that. Well, there's no lawsuits. It's like a Manhattan Project simulation hoax. I only have 5 more minutes. Overdrive, Infowars.com/show to find it. Subscribe to the Nightly News. We're fearless, folks. Support us. Support Wolfgang.
Today.
This is not a game. They are hopping mad. We're covering this. CNN admits they did fake Scud attacks on themselves back in 1991, 1990. Would they stage this? I don't know. Do penguins live in Antarctica? Wolfgang W. Halbig's our guest, former state police officer, then worked for the Customs Department, and then over the last decades created one of the biggest, most successful school safety training groups, and he just has gone and investigated, and it's as phony as a $3 bill, and they've been... But, man, Wolfgang, you dropped a bombshell of your scores of points, your 16 questions. If you've got a school of 100 kids and then nobody can find them, and then you've got parents laughing, going, ha, 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 and then they walk over to the camera and go, and I mean, but not just one, but a bunch of parents doing this, and then photos of kids that are still alive, they said died. I mean, they think we're so dumb that it's really hidden in plain view. And so the preponderance, I mean, I thought they had some scripting early on to exacerbate and milk the crisis, as Rahm Emanuel said. But when you really look at it, where are the lawsuits? There would be incredible lawsuits and payouts, but there haven't been any filed, nothing. I've never seen this. This is incredible.
Alex, just the medical negligence all by itself, the lack of trauma helicopters. You know, they did not allow, this is in their transcript, this is in their sworn affidavit. They never allowed the paramedics or the EMTs ever inside the school. Why would you not allow paramedics in there? These are somebody's children. They're clinging to life, and nobody wants to let the paramedics in? Who did that?
And I guess they just picked a group of state police and others that they knew they had under their control, compromised. I don't know, pro-gun controllers, fellow travelers. I mean, that's the only sticking point, is that they can get so many people to engage in a criminal operation. But historically, it happens.
Well, you know, when you write a script, and if you don't understand how we work in the public education system, that's where the script writers screw up. Alex, at 10:35:23, please read the document. It's not what I say. At 10:35, you can hear 405 on the transmission calling emergency services. He is now requesting that every paramedic and EMT bring their defibrillators to the Sandy Hook Elementary School. Now, that's an hour after the shooting. Now, why would they need defibrillators an hour after the shooting, and the children have already been declared dead within 11 minutes? Why are they requesting defibrillators?
They didn't do the script in order.
They screwed up. They're not talking to each other.
Well, listen, I know they script stuff because they announced Building 7 had been blown up and fallen on CNN and 2 BBCs. And then I even researched who they get their scripts from. It's Reuters. And then later they had to admit, yes, Reuters told us Building 7 had fallen in its own footprint. And they announced it. They got time zones scrambled. I mean, it's just incredible. It's incredible.
Alex, my dear friend, I want you to be in that room when we get the first deposition. I want you to look at the person that we're going to go after, and you're going to be amazed, and I think you can share that with all of your listeners. I mean, you're a great voice out there, but you need to be a part of being in part of that room in the deposition. You'll be amazed.
How long until you do this lawsuit?
Well, it depends on the funding. These attorneys want, money's up front. I've already spent $15,000. I'm going to file it anyway. I don't care what. I'm going to finish this. They shouldn't have come to my house, and now I'm not going to stop. I'm just not going to stop.
So they made a mistake pushing you.
They should not come to my house. They shouldn't have threatened me right before Christmas. You scared my family. I mean, you got to be kidding me. I'm a former state trooper. I would never do that to you.
Well, that's what tyrants always do. They push a little too far and find out people weren't scared. We were just reserved. And then the boys from the men are separated, and the thugs always fall. SandyHookJustice.com. Folks, get in there and help this investigation. Fund it. Wolfgang, we'll talk to you soon.